Osnaha's July education session. I'm Laurel Smith, Osnaha Education Committee Chair and Director on the board. Thank you for joining us today. A couple of announcements. You will all be muted for today's presentation. We will have a Q&A at the end of the main presentation. You can send your questions at any time using the Zoom chat link, or you can hold them till we open Q&A at the end, where we will unmute everyone, and then you can just ask your questions. We're recording the session, and it will be posted on our website for future reference. So we're going to start today's session with a quick overview from one of our associate members, Dennis Powers of InZone Insurance Services. Some of you may remember Dennis. He was a copper sponsor at our March conference this year. Dennis, please tell us a little bit more about InZone.
And you said I got about half an hour, right, Laurel? Or was it to do this?
You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Talk really fast.
I kid. Well, thanks first of all for having me. I learned about your association from Tom Glatt. He's a current member. I work with several of the members that are in your association, but also we've been involved with the Home Care Association of America for 15 years, and we're a frequent speaker for them. And I spoke for them in Tucson in 2019 about workers' compensation. My name is Dennis Powers. I am 50 years old. I got my degree in criminal justice. I wanted to be a police officer right around the time of the Rodney King verdict. So it became very difficult for someone like me to become a police officer when they were trying to diversify. So I did a paid internship as a private investigator, and I specialized in work comp fraud. So I would drive around in a van. If any of you guys are fans of Tommy Boy or Chris Farley, I was the guy in a van down by the river. And I would videotape a lot of work comp fraud. And I ended up taking that experience. It was a little burnt out. And I got in the insurance carrier side, investigating claims. So I have a pretty thorough 20-year background investigating workers' compensation, liability, auto claims. But I've been in sales since 2008. I joined Lamb Little in 2009, and we merged with InZone just back in December. So when I was at the conference back in March, people were coming to look for me with my Lamb Little shirt, but I was now wearing InZone. So that's a transition I've gone through. But most of the way we meet people is we try to educate people on their insurance policies. And I'm going to, if I can share my screen again, let's see if this works. Okay. Here is my information, if anyone wants to write this down. But workers' compensation for any of you is probably one of your second or third largest expense. It's tied in with your payroll. And I've been doing this presentation since 2008, trying to get people to understand, how you control your premiums. But most importantly, let me get down to this slide right here. Understanding your experience rating. This is what the first thing any underwriter at any insurance company looks for to see what your experience rating is. If it's under a 1.00, that's a good thing. If it's over a 1.00, they might be less attracted to you and less likely to offer a quote. So we do a whole presentation, which I have on a flash drive that I can send, that we've done for the Home Care Association. And we did that for them in Tucson. And then we were talking about the communicable disease exclusion, which is so important for people to understand. If any of you are insured with Philadelphia Insurance or Secura, you probably are not going to be covered if any of your clients allege that your caregiver transmitted a cold, a flu, COVID, any communicable disease. They put these exclusions on their policies. So there's not too many carriers that actually will defend you, but those are the two that definitely have those exclusions on their policy. And again, when I was down there in March, Secura had a booth, and I walked up to them and said, we work with you guys, but I will not write a policy with you because I have an active claim with a client in South Carolina, where the caregiver just wasn't wearing a mask. And she came down with COVID, then the client came down with COVID and the client died. And now it's a lawsuit. It's a big claim, but that insurance carrier does not have this exclusion on the policy. So we're the new kids on the block with your association. I live in Chicago, but I've been coming to Arizona since 1994. It's me and Gary Kalina. We're the team with Zone, and we just want to be the people that an option for you for your insurance. But we don't call, we don't harass people. We do organic growth by doing presentations and educating people. So if you have this exclusion, you're concerned about it, we can help you out. If your work comp premiums are going through the roof, we can try to help you manage your claims and shop for the best work comp pricing. But again, I've got a flash drive that has a ton of safety content and videos, nothing salesy. And I was promoting that when I was down there in March. I hope to be visible at your next conference. I come down there 3 or 4 times a year. We've got several members as clients. We're preferred vendors for Right at Home, Comfort Care, Home Watch Caregivers. I am the preferred vendor for the Home Instead Association, not the national franchise. So we do a lot of work with franchisees, but also independent agencies. So that's kind of my spiel.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And I think it's great that you can be a resource to people. Sometimes people just have those questions and they need someone to lead them in the right direction or to provide those kind of things that you're talking about with the communicable diseases, that people aren't aware of that little thing in their policy. So we thank you so much for talking with our group today.
Great, thank you. I look forward to meeting a lot of you.
Okay, a lot of you may have met our featured speaker, Joyce Petrowski, at our March conference. Joyce is the board president of ROSE, the acronym for Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. Joyce has some very important information to share about how we can keep our money out of the scammers' hands. Joyce, please tell us how to do this.
All righty. Thank you, Laurel, for the introduction. Let me get into share my screen now. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me here to present today. And this is my information here if anybody wants to get in touch with me. I'm not seeing my controls at the bottom of the screen here. So it's got my phone number, and the website is roseadvocacy.org. So let's get into there we go. So I'll tell you a little bit about ROSE. We're gonna talk about the problem, the types of attacks, aggressive sales organizations, and then tips and tools and some resources. So ROSE was founded based on the financial defrauding of one of my loved ones, and doing a lot of research about a year ago to determine just exactly how rampant this is with the 60+ population. So our mission is to prevent the financial exploitation and defrauding of the elderly through advocacy and education. And our vision is that retirement should be the best years of your life. It should be protected at all costs. Our goal is we want to reduce the number of victims, and which then would hopefully reduce the number of losses of financial frauds. And we are registered with the IRS as a 501c3 charity. So the problem, and this is based on the 2021 FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. It's called the IC3, their elder fraud report. So these numbers are going to be just what people reported. So in Arizona, we usually rank between 8 and 10 with all the other states. Last year, we were number 10. There were 3,175 reported victims, and this is all in the 60+ category. Those 3,175 victims, wait till you see how much they lost. And again, this is just in Arizona. over $54 million. In 2020, that number was just over 27 million. So it doubled in 1 year. So we're going to go over some different types of attacks: romance scam, email, text support, phone call, grandparents, IRS, Social Security, and sweepstakes and lottery. So you guys might have heard about the romance scam. This was the scam that my loved one was involved in. The person found her on social media, on Facebook. I believe she was sharing too much information. And she was grieving the loss of her husband. And so that right there is exactly what the scammers are looking for. They want you in an emotional state. So they're going to build a fake online profile. The picture they're going to have on their profile is not them. They found it from somebody, somebody else's picture on the internet. And they most likely don't come right out of the gate asking for money, because they go through this grooming process. They want to develop a relationship with you. They want to make sure they're isolating you from your family. You're not talking to your family or friends about them and your relationship. It's always good to meet the person in person or a video call, but they're always going to have a reason why they can't be on a video call, or they can't, they're going to say they come, you send me some money for a plane ticket. But then there's always a reason why they can't. Somebody intercepted the money, it got stolen, something else came up and they had to pay this. But ultimately, once they've gone through and they feel that the relationship is strong, is when they're going to start asking for this financial support. They're going to want you to pay for travel, visa, medical, a whole bunch of things. And that's how they build the absolute trust. Now, with my loved one, he was saying all the right things. She was grieving the loss of her husband, and she missed that companionship. She missed that support. And so she found it in this person. And I noticed how long it took to convince her that while this person is real, he's not who he says he is, and he is not going to come marry you. He is not in love with you. He's saying all these things to get you to build a relationship with him because he wants your money. And when you have no more, he's going to move on to somebody else, and you're never going to hear from him again. And there's a good chance you're not the only one he's doing this to at the same time. So email or text scam phishing. I'm sure every one of you guys has received some sort of text message, some sort of email that is from a scammer. So when it's an email from a scammer, it's called phishing. When it's a text message, it's called smishing, S-M-I-S-H, or just S-M-S-H. They're looking for information. They're phishing for information. They've already got a little bit of information on you. Because again, keep in mind, scammers go on the dark web and they're buying information. So when companies get hacked and information gets stolen, the hackers are selling it on the dark web. Scammers are buying it, and they're building these profiles on everyone. So they're going to start phishing through emails and text messages to try to build more of a profile on you and get more information out of you. They want to get your ID and your password. And they're thinking, if I can get your ID and password for one account, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in 1,000 different accounts, hoping that you've reused your ID and password on all your accounts. And then guess what? They've got access to all your accounts, and they're going to go in, and the next message you're going to get is they're going to go in and change your password. They're going to impersonate a legitimate business. Amazon is a big one. I get those emails all the time saying that there's, you have an order and you need to pay for it, or you need to confirm the order. They want you to click on a link or open an attachment or click on a file. What that's going to do is it's going to install malicious software or malware on your phone or on your computer, which is what's going to give the scammer the ability in the background to see everything that you are doing on the computer. And it could create ransomware. Ransomware is not just for companies. They could hold your computer for ransom unless you pay them, so much money. But ransomware is predominantly with companies. So this is an example of an email that I received from Amazon. So you look at the logo, looks like an Amazon logo. You look at the color schemes, it looks like an Amazon email. Everything looks legitimate. So if you look in the from email address, and I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it says Amazon service alert. And if you click on that, it tells you what the actual email is. And it says secure.amazon.update, which you might think, okay, but it says @gmail.com. That right there is a red flag. Legitimate businesses are not going to use Gmail. Amazon is going to use @amazon.com. That's their website, that's their emails. So that right there will tell you that it's a fake, it's from a scammer. Best thing to do when you get any email that you're not expecting, click on that from, see if it makes sense, the email address. And if you really think, even after that there's a $306 order on your account, don't click on any of these links. Log into your Amazon account the way you would normally log into it if you're going to place an order or you want to check something out, and then check your order status and check all of that information. But do not click on any of these links, and do not hit reply. And because then again, if you hit reply, you're engaging with them, and that puts you on that you like to engage, versus I can't get anything. I can't even get them to engage, so I'm not going to bother with them. I'm just going to start focusing my time on the people that like to engage. This is a email or a text message I got, and it said B of A. Everybody knows the acronym B of A is for Bank of America. Well, I just happened to bank at Bank of America, so this caught my eye. I get them from Wells Fargo, from a bunch of other ones, and I just delete them because we don't have any accounts there. But it says, now keep in mind, I read this as your contact information was updated successfully. It wasn't till a month or so ago when I was at a presentation and somebody there noticed that it said you contact information. I didn't even see that. My brain automatically read your contact information was updated successfully. Take immediate action if you didn't make this change. And it made me stop and think. And I'm like, did I call Bank of America? Did I go online? Did I update something? So I didn't click on this link. I did not reply to the text message. What I did is I called Bank of America from a number that I knew was Bank of America. And I had them pull up the accounts, and they verified with me that no information had been changed or updated. So then I knew it was a fake. But this very well, going back to the Amazon email, to give you an idea as to how emotions can play into this, I had come out one morning from working out, and I sit in my car for a little bit with the air conditioning on, and I look at my emails or whatever. And I saw one that came up that said somebody had, purchased $2,500 on my Amazon account. And, I'm sweaty, I'm tired, I'm thirsty. And my brain just automatically went, oh no. And I clicked on the phone number to call them. And as he was talking, I realized, I was like, Joyce, what did you do? This is a scam email. You know better than this. But I had a lot of different emotions going on coming out of that workout. And so as he was talking, I went in and checked the email address, and it was a Gmail. And I said, well, if you're from Amazon, why do you have a Gmail account? And he hung up on me. So that's a way that emotions can make you not stop and think, not think rationally, which is a big thing. I think as we go through all of these different frauds and scams, you're going to notice that the fraudster or the scammer is trying to get you in a specific type of emotion and have you act off of those emotions. Call spoofing. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this before, but a long time ago when caller ID came out, it was a great thing. You know, everybody was like, oh my gosh, I can tell who's calling me, you know. So I always use the example of, if I happen to be fighting with my sister, it'd be, and she calls me, it'd be like, oh, I don't want to talk to her right now, we're arguing, you know. But now scammers have figured out a way that they can spoof phone numbers. So the actual number they're calling from is not the spoofed phone number of your friend or family or somebody you have in your contacts. They just make it look like it's coming from someone in your contacts. And I had that happen recently. I got a call, and it all of a sudden, you know, when you have them in your contacts, it comes across your screen, their name. And my friend's name came across the screen, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to Stephanie in a long time. And I answered. Well, it was a scam phone call. So you can't really even trust your caller ID anymore. They can make it look like it's from a legitimate business. They can make it show that it's coming from the same area code that you have, which might make you answer the phone more than if it came from some, you know, area code out of state or something like that. So that's what spoofed phone calls are. So just be aware of that, and realize that it's not always the person who you think it is, based on what comes up on caller ID. Tech support scams. So you're on your laptop, you're on your iPad, you're on your desktop, and you're working along, and all of a sudden you get a pop-up on there. Sometimes they have loud music or a loud noise, but it's the pop-up, and it's like, you have a virus on your computer, and call us at this number, we can help you right away. Well, a lot of times, especially with the older population that didn't grow up knowing how to use a computer and with a cell phone and with all of that stuff, they might not be as tech savvy as someone who's a lot younger than them, who grew up with all this technology. And so it's going to scare them. Oh my gosh, I've got a virus on my computer, and they're going to want to automatically call that number. And the scammer is going to tell you that, you know, I need you to enter some commands on your computer and it can take the virus away. And you do that. But what happens is it's going to make it appear to you that the virus is gone. But what actually happens is the scammer is now in the background on your computer, and they can see everything that you're doing. And they're going to say, well, why don't you just log into your bank account and you can pay me the $200 or whatever they say they charge to, you know, fix the virus. And lo and behold, as you're logging into your bank account, the scammer can see every keystroke that you make. And now they have the login to your bank account. So the best thing to do there is, when I was talking to Linda before this session started, she had said she has one person that she trusts that she will give access to her computer if there's something wrong. If you get these pop-ups, you call that person that you trust to have them check to see if there's anything wrong with your computer. Or if you don't have a person, talk to a trusted person to find out maybe they know somebody that they trust that you can work with. Or get a good antivirus software. As long as it's turned on and it's working, the antivirus software is going to let you know if you have a virus. You can go in, and if you can't do anything on your computer because that pop-up is there and is kind of freezing your screen, turn the computer off. Let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes. It should cycle itself out. Turn it back on. Then you can ask your antivirus software to run a scan of your computer, and it will come up and tell you if you have any viruses, and they can fix them for you. So that's another good alternative, is to have that antivirus software. But when you get it, you need to make sure you have it turned on. Grandparent scam. This is a big one with the senior population. So I've actually had this happen to my father-in-law. He didn't fall victim, but the first time someone called, they didn't know the names of my two kids, and my two kids are my in-laws' only grandchildren. So, but then the second time a scammer called, they actually knew the names of both of my kids. So this is how they're building more information about people in order to gain their trust. So what happens here is that the scammer's going to call. There's a good chance he's going to know the names of the grandchildren, but he's going to put fear in you that you're, pretending to be your grandchild's in trouble. They've been arrested. They need bail money. They're stuck in another country. They can't get back. They're in trouble. And sometimes they get somebody to fall for this once, and then you don't hear from the same scammer again. Other times they get you to fall for it once, like say someone's in jail and you have to pay, your grandchild's in jail and you need to pay the bail. So you pay the bail, but then all of a sudden another issue comes up that they need money for, or they're being sued or whatever. And this can go on and on and on and on. And they want you to go get gift cards. They want you to wire transfer. They could want you to get usually things that are not traceable. If people are into cryptocurrency and stuff like that, they'll ask to pay like that. They're definitely going to say, don't tell my parents because I'm going to get in trouble. And most grandparents want to do whatever's possible to help their grandchild get out of trouble. And so the scammer's going to keep them in a sense of fear that they need to help this grandchild. They're in trouble. And a lot of times they're going to want to keep them on the phone until they've done that transaction. The best thing to do there is call your grandchild from a number that you know is your grandchild's phone number and find out what's going on with them. If you can't reach them and it makes you think, oh my gosh, they are in jail, call one of their siblings, call their parents and just say, hey, I got this phone call about Johnny. And 99.9% of the time it's going to be, no, Johnny's fine. He's at work. He can't answer his phone. But that's a way to verify. Or talk to a trusted person. If there's a friend of yours that you really trust, call them and say, hey, I just got this phone call, and go through it. A lot of times when you say it out loud and you hear yourself say it, you might go, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. Or just by talking to someone else about it that you trust, they're going to help you understand that it's a scam and it doesn't make sense. IRS scams, and the next one is Social Security scams. This goes on a lot. The very first presentation we did about 6 months ago, I had a gentleman from an assisted living facility. He goes, about 10 years ago, I fell for the IRS scam. He goes, I didn't think I owed any taxes. He goes, but I paid them anyways. He goes, I was scared. I was scared I was going to go to jail. And again, that's what they do. You owe money to the IRS, back taxes, you were audited, you owe this money. If you don't pay us right now, a policeman's going to come arrest you. You're going to go to jail. Same thing with Social Security. They're going to tell you that there's been fraudulent activity on your Social Security account. They come up with a lot of different reasons. But what you need to understand is government offices are not going to just call you out of the blue. It just doesn't happen. They need to have a record of communicating with you. And their record is, if you owe money to the IRS, you're going to get a notice in the mail that says you owe money to the IRS. If there's an issue with your Social Security, you're going to get something in the mail from the Social Security office. But if you think, after you get the phone call, if you're still scared and you don't have anybody, you can't get a hold of your trusted person to talk to about it, look up the IRS's phone number and find a verified phone number. Don't use the one that they're going to give you for the IRS, the Social Security, the Customs and Border Patrol, ICE, all of that stuff. Find a verified phone number and call the agency directly and say, hey, I just got this call. I don't think I owe, but then you can verify, do I owe taxes? Was there something fraudulent happening on my Social Security account? And a lot of times with Social Security, scammers can call and say, we can get you an increase in Social Security benefits. Isn't that great? You get more money in your pocket, but it's going to cost you a $200 fee in order to go through all the processing. That doesn't happen either. Social Security is going to send you your statement in the mail every year that's going to tell you how they came up with what you're going to get the following year and how much it equates to each month. You're going to get a check. You're going to get it deposited into your account. You should never have to pay to win a prize, to win, if you won the sweepstakes, to get, if they promise an increase in benefits, or, another good one is you've had this long lost relative that all of a sudden died and they've left you an inheritance, but you need to pay this money in order to get it. That's just not how it works. So just be very wary if somebody wants you to pay up front to claim something that you're entitled to. And we've already gone over the Social Security ones along with the IRS. Sweepstakes, lottery, we talked about, you've got a long lost relative that died and he or she's left you $1 million, but you've got to pay $1,000 in order to get it. All of that. You shouldn't pay in order to get your lottery winnings, the sweepstakes that you've won, or in order to claim a prize, that you're entitled to. And this happens all the time, by phone, by letter, by email. I actually had a friend of mine, her father was shopping at Walmart. And as soon as he walked out of the store, out of Walmart, he got a text saying that he won a $50 Walmart gift card. Now, he just walked out of the store. He hadn't even gotten to his car. And so he thought it was valid. And so he called the phone number, and they said, all excited, you won $50 Walmart gift card. You were just there shopping. If you just give us your bank account information, we're just going to put the $50 in your bank account. And he gave them the information, and it took him a few minutes to drive home. He told his daughter about it, and she was like, oh my God, that's a scam. And she called and got, the bank, she got them to not allow any transfers or anything out of the bank account. So that stopped the scammer. But if that ever happens, walk back into the store and go to customer service and say, I just got this text that I want a $50 gift card. They're going to tell you, again, that's a scam. It's not true. Don't call the phone numbers. Don't respond to the text, because again, they're fishing for information. They want especially your bank account information, because if they can get into it, they're going to wipe it clean. And then they're going to go and they're going to hope you've reused those passwords in your username and start charging a bunch of stuff on your credit cards, on if you have an Amazon account, a whole bunch of different things. Aggressive sales organizations. I'm sure you guys have all gotten the phone calls. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. It happens all the time. They're not necessarily scams per se, where scammers are trying to get your money and you don't really get a service. It's just that these organizations have a tendency to come at you aggressively. And when you engage with them, they're going to use a bunch of different aggressive tactics to try to get you to buy whatever it is they're selling. Somebody has the next best investment. If you give us $100, we can turn it into $10,000 in 30 days, reverse mortgages, credit repair, car warranty, solar energy. There's a lot of them. There's even charitable organizations. And so while they're in any industry, there are really great, reputable businesses. You're going to find some that fall under the aggressive category, and you might find some that are just trying to defraud people. Charitable organizations. So you get a call, you get an email, a text, whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to help the domestic violence people. So I want to donate to this organization. Before you donate to the organization, there's two ways that you can verify if a charity is legitimate. One of them is you can go on the IRS website and you can just type in verify a charity and the information will come up, and you have to click a few more times, but you're going to want the charities. The best way to search is their tax ID number, because if you search by name, you need to have the name exactly as it's registered with the IRS. And like, for instance, mine, Rose, I have the periods after ROSE, but the IRS doesn't like that. So they have it as just ROSE. And somebody might not know that. So if they type R period, O period, S period, E period, and then the rest of it out, it's going to come up that they can't find a charity. But if you put my tax ID number in there, it's going to come up and tell you that I'm a verified charity, 501c3 charity with the IRS, and your donations are tax deductible. So it's better to search with the tax ID number. You can call the charity, email them, and say, I need your tax ID number. There is not any reason why they should not give you that tax ID number. Okay. The other way that you can verify a charity is there's a website called charitynavigator.org, and it does the same thing. You can go in and type the name or the tax ID number for the charity. But again, you have to have the name spelled exactly as it is with the IRS, or it's not going to come up accurately. So that's why it's always best to put the tax ID number in. Now, just to give you another little qualification with that, I started Rose in August of last year. I filed in September for my 501c3 status. I didn't get approved by the IRS until December when they sent me the letter. And then it takes probably 4 to 8 weeks for the IRS to update their system with the, my information. So then if you searched my tax ID number, it would come up that I'm a verified charity. But if you went in there last December and put it in, it's going to say we don't have any charity, and you're going to think that I'm a fake charity. Well, you can always ask the organization for a copy of their letter from the IRS that's approved their nonprofit status. You could ask them for a copy of their application that they filed with the IRS to get more information from them. And then you can make a decision if they haven't gotten their charitable status from the IRS, if you still want to make a donation. Now, when I got mine in December, the IRS went back and made it effective in August when I initially incorporated. That doesn't happen all the time, but because of time delays and stuff, but that's where you would need to talk to the charity some more and find out some more information on that. What's next? So tips and tools. These tips and tools and the resources on the next page, they're on our website, and you can download them and print them out if you would like. So if you look at the first two, be aware of your emotions. Or not the first two, the first one, be aware of your emotions. And the last two, talk to someone you know and trust before acting on anything, and verify, then trust. I think we've all heard the trust but verify phrase that came out back in the 80s. You need to flip it around. You need to verify who you're dealing with and what is going on before you can trust. It's just the world we live in today. And have that trusted person that you can talk to about what's going on. Because again, what I said earlier is sometimes when you start saying it out loud, then you start realizing, yeah, this doesn't make sense. Or the person that you trust can help you walk through it and help you understand before you act on anything, before you give any money to anybody. If it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. Protect your personal information at all costs, your social security number, your birth date, your account information, your social or your Medicare ID number. You want to protect that as well. The government offices are not going to call you. Beware of payment requests with gift cards, with wire transfers, with cryptocurrency. Reputable businesses will not ask to be paid with wire transfers, gift cards, cryptocurrency, green dot money cards, all of that. And be very, very careful in text and emails that you get on clicking on links in there. And one of the other, before we go into the resources, I don't have a slide yet for this other fraud that I want to make you aware of. It's called deed fraud. So it's the deed to your house. And a lot of times what scammers are doing is they're focusing on people that have their house paid off. So a lot of times that is with the people that are in the 60+ population. And it's very easy to transfer the deed out of someone's name fraudulently because there's not a lot of controls to prevent it. And I'm really hoping that down the road, we're going to start seeing at the recorder's office and places like that, that there's a lot more controls about this happening. Arizona Family did a story in May, and I have it on my website. This gentleman had passed away and his daughter had received his house, and she's a realtor, and she just happened to go on, I think it was the MLS, and happened to see that house being listed for sale. And she was like, what's going on? And so she did some legwork and checked the assessor's office, and here the house wasn't in her father's name, the estate's name, or her name. Somebody had filled out the paperwork, a scammer transferred it out of her father's name into his name, and then he turned around and sold it to I don't remember which company. And so that company was selling it now. And so they were able to work with that company, and they transferred the title back into the name it was supposed to be in. But the only reason this guy got caught was because he had the deed transfer notarized in California, and California requires a fingerprint when you have something notarized. And so they were able to trace it back to him, and he's since been arrested. But from my understanding is Arizona doesn't require the fingerprinting. So it's always good to check your deed with the assessor's office and make sure it's still in your name or the name it's supposed to be in. Another thing to be on the lookout is all of a sudden, if you stop getting your real estate tax notices or you stop getting certain bills regarding your house, then all of a sudden, I would get on the assessor's website and I would look it up and make sure that it's still in your name. And if it's not, and it's been transferred out, then contact an attorney right away and start to work on it. So some resources. Freezing your credit is a really good thing to do if you don't need any future credit. You can freeze your credit. Now, my husband has frozen his for a long time. And so nobody can get credit in his name, because when the company submits the credit, when they go to run the credit with the one or more of the 3 different credit reporting agencies, it's going to show the credit's frozen. If you find out after the fact that you need to get like a new credit card or you need something, you can unfreeze it, do what you need to do, and then freeze it again. And this information is all on our website as well, and it has direct links to the FTC, where it gives a lot more detailed information on how to freeze your credit, if there's a limit that you're allowed to freeze and unfreeze each year, credit monitoring. So you can, on your credit cards, you can go on and put credit alerts in place. So we have it on one of our credit cards that anything more than a $50 charge or activity that's $50 or more, we get an email that says, and so then if you have that credit alert in place and you get that email, you'll know that something's happened fraudulently on your credit card, and you can stop it before it gets out of control. Credit monitoring companies, those are great as well. And we have a link on our website to an article that has gone and compared about 8 to 10 different credit monitoring companies. So you can kind of look at it and make a decision which one works best for you. Some are free, some have a paid subscription. Same with antivirus software. You should have this on your computers, your iPads, your laptops, all of that stuff. And there's an article that links to an outside article on our website that talks about different antivirus softwares. Passwords. You should use a strong, different password for each account. And passwords, unfortunately, are not enough anymore. You really should have two-factor or multi-factor authentication enabled on every account that has it as an option. It's in your settings. You can just go in and you can turn it on, and you can elect to have the code texted to you, or you could go through an authenticator app. The authenticator apps have been known to be more secure because their codes only last for anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds, and then the code is no longer valid. If you get the code texted to you, scammers have figured out ways to trick you into giving them the code. So you just have to be careful that you don't share those codes with anybody. A lot of people don't want to use different passwords for all their accounts because they're hard to remember. You know, you can buy those password books where you can have, you can write down all of your accounts and what the usernames and passwords are. But there's another, it's called a password vault or manager. And again, we have a link on our website to an article that has compared a lot of different password vaults or managers. So you can make a decision if you think one of those are going to work for you. And what they do is they store all of your account information for you. Now you need to keep in mind, nothing is completely secure from being hacked. So yes, even password vault or password manager companies can get hacked into. But this article talks a lot about their security as well. AARP, if you're a member, they have, actually you don't even need to be a member. They have what's called a fraud watch network that you can put your email in, and you can get fraud watch alerts from them periodically. And then if you do happen to become a victim of a scam, please report it. A lot of people don't like to report it, but you might be 1 out of 100 people that are involved in the same scam. And the more people that report it, then that more information that the FBI, the DA's office, the police have, where they can build a case to try to find the people and arrest them and put a stop to it. There's a couple other things that aren't on here that I just wanted to mention. Someone told me yesterday, and I haven't received this text, so I don't know anything about it. I'm just passing this information along, that there's a text messages going on out there about asking you to donate money to help finish the wall at the southern border. And they're basically saying it's a scam. So just if you get one of those text messages, be very wary about acting on any of that information before you've looked into it more. There is a option on whether you have a Galaxy phone or you have an iPhone. It's called Silence Unknown Callers. And what that does is, so on the Galaxy phones, you're going to go in like you're going to make a phone call, and at the top, you're going to press on those 3 dots, and you'll see it come up where you can turn it on. And then the iPhone, you're going to go into your settings in the phone settings, and then turn it on in there. And what that does is any call that you get that is from a number that is not in your contacts, it will not even ring into your phone. It will automatically send them to voicemail. So they can leave a message if they want. So you just need to understand that if you do turn this on, if somebody's calling you and they are not in your contacts, like if you have a new doctor's office or you were in the hospital, and they're trying to get in touch with you, if they're not in your contacts, they're going to go directly to voicemail. And the only way you're going to know that they called is if they left a voicemail, then you can listen to the voicemail. So it has its pros and it has its cons. You'll just have to decide if it's something that you feel would benefit. If your phone is just ringing off the hook and you're tired of it, you might want to try it for a little bit and see how it works, but it's an option. And then iPhones, Apple came out with what's called a legacy contact. You can, and this is on our website as well, where you can get the actual instructions on how to put a legacy contact on your Apple account. And what that does is when you pass, if there is nobody else that shares that Apple account with you, that legacy contact will have to fill out an application and submit it to Apple for them to approve it. But then they will have access to your Apple account, so they can go in and cancel subscriptions. They can, if there's photos or videos that you want to have, you can download them. And I believe they allow this legacy contact for a period of up to 3 years. It's, you can read more information about it on there, on how you can do it, what are the benefits of doing it, and then make a decision if it's something that you feel you want to put in place. But just please make sure it's somebody that you trust before you make them a legacy contact on your Apple account. That is everything that I had. If anybody has any questions.
I don't see any questions in the chat at this point, but Linda, if you can unmute everybody, if they have a question, they can just reach out. Joyce, thank you for helping us better understand how we can protect our information and our money, and also help educate the elderly for whom we care.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate it.
One thing I did want to say is, so what we do to get this out is we go into assisted livings, independent living, senior centers, churches, where we have a group of people in the 60+ community, and we give in-person presentations and we hand out some resources. And we like to go back 2 to 3 times a year because we want everyone to continue talking about this and talking to their friends, because the more you talk about it, the more it stays in the forefront of your mind, and the more you can practice the tips and tools, because it's not a matter of if you're going to get contacted, it's a matter of when and how often. And so then, if it can stay in the forefront of your mind, when you get contacted, you're going to be better apt to use some of these tips and tools to help you prevent falling victim.
Yes. And if you don't keep it forefront in your mind, it's easy to let go of it. And
Exactly.
I would assume that as you do your refresher courses and whatnot, it's all the new things that are coming out. And
Right.
with today's technology, it's personally, it's quite irritating that they can just put any number in there to show up on your caller ID. It's a tough situation.
It is, because just when we all of a sudden get new technology that's really great, they find ways to use it for their advantage. Technology is great, but
yeah, has its downfalls.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you again very much, Joyce. I guess we don't have any questions. I'm looking again. It doesn't look.
I just would like to say, this is Ray. I just appreciate the fact that you go out into the community and provide this information to the vulnerable adults or older adults that need it. And all of us need to know about these things,
Right.
But thank you for making it so public and for trying to help educate the community.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Joyce, I'm wondering, do you do any role playing when you're presenting to older adults, so they kind of get the idea that someone would play the role of the scammer and then you would play the role of the victim or something like that? so they get the dialogue and that kind of stuff? Do you ever do that?
We haven't, but that is something that we're definitely going to look into as we start building our capacity. We'll have more people than just myself or one other person that give the presentations, you know, that we could have 2 people doing the presentations, and then they can role play to kind of show examples as to how it works. But that's a great idea.
Okay, good. Well, the Osnaha Board of Directors want to thank all of you for participating today. Our August session will be held on Wednesday, August 17th. Our speaker will be Scott Taggett of Sims Business Systems. He will be talking about upholding the association's code of business ethics in the digital world while enhancing our credibility. You won't want to miss this one. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great afternoon. And again, thank you, Joyce, for all you do.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.